Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Gerard Pratt, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Petty Officer Cameron Erskine. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that have loved and supported them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through until the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Corporal John Taylor Anderson. John Taylor Anderson was born in the Melbourne suburb of Windsor in 1887, the first of two sons born to John and Annie Anderson. He grew up in Prahran and attended the nearby St Kilda Park State School. His early life was marred by the death of his mother, leaving his father to rear two sons. John went on to gain an apprenticeship with the Austral Ostis Works in South Melbourne. His apprenticeship lasted 7 years, after which he found employment as a marine engineer. When the First World War began, Anderson enlisted for service with the newly raised 2nd Field Company Engineers in Melbourne on the 18th of August 1914. Almost a month into his training, he transferred to the 3rd Field Company Engineers. Anderson embarked with his unit from Melbourne and on the 22nd of September aboard the transport ship Geelong, bound for Egypt. The transport ship sailed to Albany, where they joined the first convoy of transports to leave Australia. Not long after arriving in the desert, in December, the unit was put to work building the Suez Canal at Canberra and creating defensive positions. Such was the quality of their work that men received a commendation letter from Field Marshal Lord Kitchener. On the 5th of April, Anderson was admitted to the 1st Australian Field Ambulance suffering from influenza. He spent the rest of the month and all of May in Alexandria before being sent to join his unit at Gallipoli. Anderson rejoined his comrades on the 8th of June and was soon at work improving the defences on the southern side of the Australian positions. His unit spent the following months digging tunnels, trenches, and maintaining defensive positions. The men worked often under Ottoman shell fire and casualties were constant. Anderson was promoted to corporal in late July, but his Gallipoli campaign came to an end in September when he was evacuated to Malta with an abscess. While recovering, he was diagnosed with neuralgia, nerve pain, and at the end of October was sent to England for treatment. Anderson was hospitalised in the Beaufort War Hospital in London for further treatment and convalescence. There was no further mention of neuralgia, rather he was diagnosed with shell shock. In December, Anderson was deemed sufficiently well to be given leave and travelled to Ireland. He was at Geary's Hotel in Limerick on the 17th of December when he died suddenly. A coroner's inquest deemed Anderson's death to have been from natural causes. He was laid to rest in Limerick, Kings Island, Military Cemetery. He was 28 years old. Anderson's younger brother, Henry, served with the 59th Battalion on the Western Front and after being wounded in October of 1917, was invalided home to Australia. Corporal John Taylor Anderson's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died serving the First World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of many of the stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Corporal John Taylor Anderson, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.